Hi, family. This is a phenomenally impromptu episode. I did not plan this one. As I record this, it is Saturday, and I was prepping for tomorrow's Sunday Reflections episode that I started last week. Those of you who are members will remember that. I have been just completely overwhelmed, and I do mean, is this thing even close? Do I have to start over? Well, I'm not starting over. I have been completely overwhelmed with the amount, and it is a tsunami-sized wave, and I guess I kind of expected it, right? But the reality of it still just blows me away with all of the comments coming in. It's just, and you guys, I truly, I cannot keep up, and I don't like that. You know me, I like the personal part of this, and I'm looking forward to those live things when I get to that point and I can figure that out. But it truly, I'm just finding that this is overwhelming. Now, in part, it's been because this week has also been National Suicide Prevention Week, which I participate every year. Everything I do is online. It's funny, people might say to you from a long time ago that I wasn't an introvert, but I am an introvert. I've just learned how to handle it. So, or for the most part. So anyway, I just balls to the wall, right? I'm advocacy, and if you're paying attention at all to our community section, you're seeing these posts go in there. And by the way, I would like some feedback on that. You guys, I'm just launching the channel, right? So we're into our, 9th month now. And I'm trying to find a consistency of posting. I want us to have a live community where you can come in. So if you feel like there's just too much, it will slow down. I'm just trying to get everyone's voices out there, which is just impossible right now. We're getting there. The other part of that is that, so there was National Suicide Prevention Week. Today was day 7. So I made my last post today that I make for this event. And then the residual effects of what happened with the family reunion and everything that came after that has gone on as well. Just some unbelievable drama. An ultimatum issued to one of the few people remaining that I just love with all my heart about disconnecting from me or else. And those of you who are familiar with this kind of behavior know how wrenching that can be. But this one cuts deep. This one cuts deep. But that was the other part of what was going on. And of course, I'm still doing all the rest of this. But anyway, so I'm just prefacing this by saying this morning, I'm in the sunroom. I'm just listening, getting the comments in, and I've got this file where I cut and paste things that I want to include in the next episode. And suddenly, out of nowhere, comes in what I am just certain is going to be another one of those unpleasant exchanges, as it started out to be. And it did for, she came in and wrote extensively, not once, not twice, but 3 times. And I responded all 3 times. So my standard response, for those who are familiar, I have a cut and paste response for the but people. Okay. And those are the ones who come in and they say, well, you may have a good point, but, or I understand what you're saying, but I went, you know what I mean? There's always some sort of qualification. And so I created this disclaimer episode and made the link a part of this standard response, which in part is, none of it is rude. I'm actually very, all things considered, kind. But one part I say to them, and thanks, by the way, for your comments, because it raises our episode in the algorithm. And I know I probably shouldn't say that, but it's true. It does happen. And it's just a way to diffuse the situation. So long story short, I'm in the middle long story short. Why do people say that? I'm in the middle of my final, what I think is going to be my final response before I finally say enough, and I just end up blocking this woman from our channel, when in comes the very first, this is why we're doing this episode, in Just Medicate Me land, that is going into its 9th month. We have just recorded one of the most phenomenal shares that I have ever heard from, I say the other side, quote unquote, right? Because this is the culture war that I've been referring to. I'm just going to share with you what this woman wrote. And hello, and I apologize. I came on here with comments for my own mother, projecting my own pain for my own situation onto you. It was cathartic, but I know you are not her, and your situation is not mine. The internet is so funny like that, making us feel anonymous behind a keyboard. I'm in pain. I never wanted to go no contact with my mother. It hurts that she isn't in my children's lives. But my situation is that she isn't safe and won't ever be accountable, so the trust is destroyed. I hate that we are no contact, but I feel like I have no other choice, or she will destroy my life again. And I spent the past 3 years starting over and rebuilding, all the while grieving. As a daughter, no contact, it hurts. I don't know you, but I know Jesus, and I felt I should say sorry and wish you the best, because hearing your side of it hurts too. And I pray you find comfort today, and I pray for reconciliation for you. And I'm sorry I came on here before looking to validate my own experience with my mother. You are not her, and my heart is not hard, just grieving. Peace and blessings to you. First of all, let me just say that my last response to her was on the effect of how this was proof that people who claimed to be Christians were so judgmental, because I cannot abide that. And if you don't know me yet and you stick around, you will come to learn that I spent 8 years in a foster home where we went to church 3 times a week. And then we were taken home and we were beaten and raped. So I have a very ultra-sensitive radar when it comes to the hypocrisy behind those who claim to be Christian and yet do not act in a Christian-like manner. I was in the process of intellectually crushing this woman for coming onto my channel where I am seeking to find peace and healing with other mothers like me, okay? But then what happened was, in came this young woman, and I was amazed by not only what she said, but by how quickly she came back in and said it. I was never that wise when I was her age. I wasn't. Listen, I've said to you guys before, don't put me on some sort of a pedestal. I will spend the rest of my life, what's left of it, making living amends for some of my errors. But I'm also not a doormat. And so when I decided to create this space for us, and us meaning the parents who have been cast aside, estranged, alienated, shunned, ghosted, whatever label their kid puts on it. Those parents who have been cast aside, who were not abusive. This woman's story, I was only able to read a bit of it before it was all gone, but it's not the kind of mother that I want in this space with us. I'm sorry if that hurts your feelings, but I need, not want, need. This is my space, so I get what I need. Everybody gets one warning. I need people around me who are doing their level best. However, they fail. They're doing their level best to be the best versions of themselves, and they take accountability for themselves. Now, it took me a very long time, and I still work at this. You know, it's one of the things the young woman had pointed out to me. You've been in recovery 24 years. Yes, I have been in recovery 24 years. And I hope that the vast majority of the message that comes across on my channel from me is one that reflects that. I'm not perfect, and I'll get harsh, and I'll say things, and I'm hoping I don't. I can edit most of it, right? But I'm just saying, I will take a stand. Now, let me give you, this is something else that just happened yesterday, and it is an example for you of what I am willing to do, the extent I'm willing to go to stand for what I believe in. I won't go into the details of it, but I will tell you that I have a women's rights advocacy page that I've had for a long, long time. And in the last 28 days, we've reached almost 3 million audience reach, and it's getting bigger and it's getting more volatile. So anyway, with the shooting that happened, the assassination, there was a lot of movement on that page. And then I need to be in there constantly working it, just like I am with our channel, making certain nobody's coming in and attacking. So I do the same thing over there, right? And that's a really big job with an audience that size. Sometimes I do this purposely. I've learned how to take out my frustrations. I decided to take several hours yesterday and put them aside solely to do my advocacy work on these social media news stations. And you always get these willfully ignorant, they're 99% of the time, I'm sorry, they're willfully ignorant men that drive pickup trucks, and they're short little guys with tiny little penises, and they are only big behind a keyboard. And I know this because I've been dealing with them for years. And so I get out my frustrations when something big like this happens, and I take in a lot of heat, but I give back a lot. And all of a sudden, a comment came in from a name that I recognized immediately. He did not recognize mine because I don't use my last name, first of all. But secondly, I hadn't seen him for decades. So he comes in and he makes some vicious remark about, yeah, you libtards. And I said, and I told him how I was related to him. And I said, I'm giving you this one warning. I need you to stand down. And he came back with, I'm not scared. And I said, I'm telling you right now, you need to stand down because I will have no mercy on this issue. And so he came back one more time. And so I'll just say to you that my response stopped him in his tracks, and he never said another word, because I made it very clear that I knew his history, and he had no business being in an arena having this kind of a discussion. So what I'm saying to you is this: if I will take a stand against someone who is blood related, what do you think I'll do when it's someone I don't know? So that's where I come from. And so having this interaction this morning with this woman, first of all, I am just utterly, I could not be happier about this. This is the mission of, well, let me clarify that. Just Medicate Me Land is going to consist of different, I don't think you'd call them islands, but communities. And the first community that I chose, or rather that chose me, was grandparent estrangement, parental alienation. A massive topic, way untouched. I was astonished by the number of voices coming out and saying I thought I was the only one. and the pain and the agony and the hurt. And now we've got wise voices coming in. You know, that's part of what I want to share with Sunday Reflections are your voices. We have some gals, so far they're just gals, who've got like a lot of experience to share with you. And they know what they're talking about. And they can save you a lot of heartbreak, a lot. So I'm just going to end with my response to this young woman. And I do want to, I don't know if I'll ever hear from her again. I don't know if she'll come back in. I don't know if she'll speak. But if she ever sees this or gets the chance to hear a message from me, I want her to know you spoke to the deepest part of my heart. That is the mission right now, is connecting us. Letting us sit down and have conversations, because we can't do that when there's just shut doors and shunning and ghosting and all of that. And I understand your pain. I came from that background. My biological mother abandoned us. There was a lot more that went on beyond that, but I understand your pain. I hope you stay with us, because I guess the irony is that there's a lot of mothers in this space, grandmothers, who would love to love you. So here was my response for those who care to hear it. Oh my gosh, I have the biggest lump in my throat right now. You really can't know what this exchange has done for my heart this morning. I'd planned on making this one of the talking points in my upcoming episode. I'd cut and pasted your comments and was ready to show the hurting members here another example of what we're up against. And then I will absolutely be leading with what happened here this morning, but now the message will be one of hope. And all because a young woman came back here and apologized for her part. She risked being vulnerable with a stranger, and now she's become the first message of inspiration from the other side. What you've done here this morning is a shining example of authentic Christianity, and the Jesus I know would be damned proud. And then I got in parentheses, hey, he got an attitude every twice in a while. Proud of you. I'm awed by your self-awareness, sweet child. Not only did you have the courage to return to the scene of the crime, but you took accountability in record time. I was not so wise at your age. And if no one has ever said this to you before, I'm so very, very sorry that you didn't have the kind of mother who nurtured you and stood by your side. That is phenomenally unfair. I hope you choose to come visit every once in a while. This is a relatively new channel, just 8.5 months old, and my goal is to speak the language of love. I don't always succeed, and I'll always need to hear from those who hurt, because they are my people. Much love to you, and my deepest gratitude for this morning's lesson in grace and connection. That is what we are striving for. That is our unified purpose here. We are all going to grieve. We are all going to speak in I statements. We're going to speak in the language of love. And we are going to, as one, raise our voices and connect with the other side. Because that's all that matters. I don't understand why it has to get so complicated. God is love. It's that simple. You don't need to complicate it. I mean, churches do, and they make, whatever. God is love. Connection is love. Communication is love. It's all, it sounds corny, right? And I'm an old hippie, so I guess it will, but that's what it all boils down to. And my God, what an example I just got this morning of love. Thanks for stopping by.